Hello and welcome to the Not Too Shabby YouTube channel. My name is Lynn, or LV Handcrafted here on YouTube, and today I am going to make a Joyfold card. I'm starting off with some heavyweight cardstock cut to 9 inches wide by 6 inches tall, and I scored it at 3 inches. This is going to be a 6 by 6 card. I've got this mini card here that is 4 1/4 tall by 8 1/2 wide, and I scored that one at 4 1/4. So basically I've got a little 4 1/4 square card for my mini card, and for the larger card base, you could take any card base, really, whatever size you want to adapt this to, and just cut off half the width of your front card panel. So in this case, it's 6 by 6. So instead of that front card panel being 6 inches square, the front is just 3 inches wide by 6 inches tall. And so this is a really easy formula to adapt for other card sizes. So if you prefer an A2 card, you could do the same 5 by 7. You could similarly adapt this to that. And for the mini card, this is really just subjective. So because I'm making a square card, I decided to make a square mini card. That way you kind of have an equal border all the way around. But if you were to adapt this for a 2 or 5 by 7, it's really whatever aesthetic looks nice to your eyes. So the Joyfold card is really great in that way because it can be whatever you'd like. The concept is very simple. It's almost like, kind of 2 cards glued together. And what's nice about it is if you have gorgeous pattern papers, there are a lot of places for you to decorate on a Joyfold card because it is essentially 2 cards in one. So I've got some lovely pattern papers here from this month's subscription box. This one is Tea and Honey. And I do think you can purchase this separately outside the box because I know the subscription box did sell out. So you might not have been able to get it unless you were already subscribed to receive the subscription box monthly. But do check the Not Too Shabby website to see if you can get this one on its own. It does have a coordinating ephemera pack, which I will also use to decorate with. And anytime you hand cut something, and so honestly, sometimes even with pre-made card bases, not everything will be exactly 6 by 6 or exactly whatever size. So you might find that you need to do what I'm doing here, which is just trimming a fly's eyelash off of some of these panels, especially because I don't want any of my card base to show on some of these. So with this piece in particular, you want to make sure, because I don't want any of the card base to show, I am going to adhere this pretty close to that score line, but I'm being careful not to cross over the score line. So just right up against it. And that's why you do have to trim a little bit off of the width to accommodate for that. But I had to trim a little bit off of the height as well, just because I must not have cut this to exactly 6 inches tall. But you may not have to do that. But if you're seeing me take extra little slices off, that's why. It's because when I cut my card base, I wasn't very exacting. So this bit of pattern paper here is 3 inches wide by 6 inches tall. And again, I've got a little bit of overhang here where there's a little bit that's hanging off of the edge of the card base. So I'll just trim that off. It's easy enough just to take these little bits off. It's better when your pattern paper is too big and you can trim it off as opposed to too small and you've got your card base showing, which is fine if that's the look that you're going for. But for this particular card, I wanted to cover everything up so that my mini card, which will be where my focal image is going to be created, I want this to stand out a little bit more and have a more, that bright white frame all the way around it. So on this mini card, I do want the base of that to be showing. So I'm going to cut down my pattern paper so that it measures 4x4, giving me a little bit of that white border all the way around. And with papers as lovely as the ones from Not Too Shabby, it can be hard to pick what you want to go with because there are so many good options. And one of the things that I try to look for is, while everything does coordinate and go beautifully together, some papers might be a better match with each other than others, in the sense of being able to kind of, give your eyes a comfortable, path to scan. So by that I mean, if everything is the same size, the same coloring, the same density, it might all start to kind of blend together. But what I was going for was pattern papers that, of course, we know the color palette is going to coordinate beautifully because it's all part of the same paper pad. But I was looking for designs, some that are very colorful and graphical, like that half panel on the card front. And I wanted, some of them to be more monochromatic, like the dotty print. And the panel that I glued onto this mini card is somewhere in between. So it's not a super fine print like the polka dot that's on the inside of this card, but it's also not as colorful, not as busy as the pattern paper to the right of it. So that when you're looking at this, there's different places for your eyes to gravitate, and each paper kind of stands out on its own. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to double matte my focal image, and I'm going to create my own little pattern paper here with some of the stamps that came in the subscription box, like this one, but I'm also going to actually use the stamp of the month, which is fabulous because it also has a bee theme to it. So it goes very, very nicely with everything in the box of the month as well. So I just have some a dye-based ink. I happen to be using Memento. Dye-based inks are great for stamping out your own background like this because they dry so quickly. So you don't have to worry about smudging if you're trying to move fast like I am. And the reason why I'm trying to move fast, this video is sped up, but even in reality, this is sort of faster than, what I would normally do if I were, say, trying to stamp out a sentiment. But one of the reasons for trying to move quickly is so that I don't overthink things. I feel like random patterns will feel more random if you just don't overthink about where your next stamped impression needs to go. So that's one of the things that there were some, aspects of this pattern paper, like the big focal image of the bee and the hexagon, that I really wanted to get a nice clear stamping of, but everything else I'm doing for second, third generation stamping just to fill out the rest of the space. So I wanted to make sure that whatever I wanted to be very visible or stamped nice and crisply, I did that first to reserve space for it. And then there were so many options for little kind of filler graphics that I was easily able to just fill in the rest with those smaller images. Now, most of this is going to get covered up, but I'd rather have the entire panel stamped out so that everything looks seamless underneath, even though I did know that a good portion of that would be covered up. But that's another reason not to overly think it, because unless what you're stamping is going to be your focal image, it's kind of okay. It will eventually fade to the background when you start to add your focal image on top of it. And so if it's not perfect, it really isn't the end of the world. And so what I did was, I love this stamp from the one of the stamp sets that come in the box of the month. It's got that sort of motif of the bee and florals, and it has a space in the center to stamp out your sentiment. There are so many sentiments in this stamp set that would fit in the middle there, but to be honest, there's so many, it's a nice size, so there's going to be a lot of different sentiments that you can put in the center there. And even though a lot of the ones that come included in this stamp set have sort of punny, a pun on bees and that theme, you don't necessarily have to use a punny sentiment in there. It's just it's a beautiful kind of motif. So really, really love that. Then what I'm going to do is I took the other half of that pattern paper that we used to decorate the front of our card, and I glued that second half on the inside. So now we're looking at the inside. And I'm going to decorate the inside of my card, which I don't often do, but look at all this space here. So you could use some additional pattern papers on the inside of this mini card if you wanted. I want to keep a good amount of white space so that I have space to sign the card, write a message. And so I'm not going to cover it all up, but I do want it to be a little bit decorative. So I've stamped out some of the images from the stamp of the month. And I picked two, but, and then I did some monochromatic, sort of spotlight coloring on these. But what I think I might do though is I think I might stamp a third image, because there's this common sort of rule of three in design aesthetics that, generally speaking, it's a little bit more balanced to your eyes if you work in odd numbers, and if you have sort of clusters of three, or, you form like a triangle with three similar images, or like embellishments are often kind of clustered in a triangle. So looking at this now, I think I might go back and stamp an extra little something. I'll think about that, but you'll have to check my photos when I post them to Instagram and Facebook to see what I ended up doing. But as I'm recording this voiceover, that's where I'm inclined to do. And so with this coloring, it's really, really simple. I've smushed out some of my, I've got Versa Magic ink and also Memento ink as well. And I've stamped it in VersaFine Clair, which is a pigment ink, and somewhat waterproof. So as I'm doing this really quick and easy, fast watercoloring, the lines aren't going to move on me. And you can see I just picked a couple of areas to color in, nothing too complicated. I did go for a little bit of shadows, a little bit of highlights, but I kept it very, very simple. And that way there's just a hint of color, but it's not too overwhelming or hard to do. Watercoloring is very, very forgiving in that way, and can be so fast. So that is my Joy Fold card. I hope that you enjoyed my video today, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.